Joining me now to discuss is Coinbase Chief Policy Officer Faryar Shirzad to talk about it. All right, let's listen to some of what Trump had to say at this summit, and we'll talk on the other side.
Great.
I signed an executive order officially creating our strategic Bitcoin reserve, and this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing, Scott.
A lot of people say this is a big thing. So does the crypto industry want both mainstream acceptance and to remain decentralized and free from government control? And I'm just wondering how you see it. What would that balance look like?
Well, Laura, thanks for having me on. You know, crypto is a technology. It's fundamentally like an information technology solution, and it manifests in a number of different ways. So you can see the technology being used to create tokens like Bitcoin that the president made an announcement about. It's also used to create tokenized versions of dollars or currencies that right now turn over on the order of something like $2 to $3 trillion annually. It can also be used in terms of record keeping. Places like Colorado, for example, issue hunting and fishing licenses on the blockchain. So it's a broad area. What the Trump administration said and what the president has said is that because of the potential of the technology is so vast, he wants to have a comprehensive set of policies that ensure the growth of the industry happens in the United States. And yesterday's summit was a huge part of making that happen.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here to talk about this because I know that you are so well versed. You know, some critics have been quoted calling Trump's executive order, and I quote, lipstick on a pig, because the government won't buy any additional crypto assets. Do you agree with that?
What the president said is he wants to make sure that the government takes its vast holdings of Bitcoin that you mentioned at the setup part of this discussion and just manages it strategically. And so the U.S. seizes as a matter of regular course an enormous amount of crypto and Bitcoin. And what the executive order says is that stockpile is going to be maintained in a strategic way with a long-term perspective. Now, remember, Bitcoin has huge adoption. There's something on the order of, I don't know, 300 to 500 million people around the world who own it. The market cap of it is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And so the adoption is enormous. And the question is, will the U.S. sort of sit by and manage its stockpiles strategically or not? And I think the president has decided to be strategic about it, which is exciting.
You know, I've got to say, there are a lot of people who still don't quite understand it all. And there is a recent Pew Research Center survey that found that only 17% of American adults have invested at this point, traded or used a cryptocurrency. And it really hasn't changed since 2021. So when we take a look at this as a whole, is crypto something only wealthy Americans can participate in, or can it really provide financial opportunities for everyday Americans? And what do people need to do to understand it better?
Yeah, most surveys say it's something like 17 to 20% of the adult population owns crypto. Mm-hmm. That's a huge percentage. Think about it. It's about 50 million Americans who've decided to participate in the sector. And I think that's a big deal. That's more people than own electric vehicles, more than are members of unions. So the scale of it is actually enormous. And our financial system right now, across the board, if you do surveys of any demographic group, I think people will tell you, and the surveys confirm this, that they're disaffected with the traditional financial system. They find it too difficult, too expensive, too hard to participate in. Plus, we have a series of laws that essentially make it impossible to invest for wealth creation unless you're already wealthy. And crypto provides an alternative to that. And that's why so many Americans are flocking to it. And that's why it became an election issue. And so many people voted on the crypto issue and helped elect the president and a pro-crypto Congress. And that's been super gratifying.
And when we monitor the financial ebbs and flows here, what factors have driven Bitcoin's price movements in the past 6 months? As you take a look at this, and the volatility is really an inherent part of the market that users have to accept, or do you expect it to decrease? You know, a lot of people trying to follow along and earn some money here. What can you tell us?
Well, Bitcoin is like a lot of investing assets that are evolving and maturing. And so initially, it's been a very heavily retail-oriented investor base. And now you're having institutional investors come in with the launch of the ETFs, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, asset managers, hedge funds are all coming into the space. So you'll see the volatility likely dampen over time. We actually have done surveys on this at Coinbase, and we found that the largest crypto assets by market cap, essentially the 90% of the volume of activity that occurs in crypto is about as volatile as mid-cap equity. So people perceive it to be enormously volatile, but it's actually quite familiar in terms of its risk profile.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.